We had these on the website.
Good evening, everyone. It is 5:30, and I will call our regular work session to order. And if the clerk will note that all council members and our staff are present. This meeting is being conducted both in person and online. Members of the public may attend in person if they so desire, or the public can also watch this meeting on burnsvillemn.gov/meetings, and or on Comcast channel 16 or 859. The public can also participate through Zoom by joining us at zoom.us/join. And all of the information about our background is found on our meeting's webpage and in the council agenda packet. This is a work session, so all of our leadership team is at the table, and it's always wonderful. I love these meetings because we see everybody and we're all working together. And we go directly to our agenda items, and City Manager Lindberg, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. This is our third department presentation or strategic plan discussion as part of the budget process that we kicked off really in February and then into March as we talked about the FMP. Our goal this year as a leadership team is to provide you with information about our operations. So this will actually be the first time in Burnsville's history that as we wrap this portion of the budget process up, that each department will have a strategic plan or a strategic work plan that aligns everything that we're doing back to your strategic priorities and aligns the initiatives and the work that city staff do every day. So certainly, we're going to kind of peel the curtain back, so to speak, of our operations. We're happy to answer any questions along the way. 3 department strategic plan presentations tonight. We'll start off with strategic initiatives, then the Department of Finance, and finally the Fire Department will present. Our next budget conversation, just by way of the budget calendar, which is always available to you and to the community on our budget landing page. That's burnsvillemn.gov/budget. All of these strategic plans are there, videos of all of our budget meetings, access to our transparency portals that allow the community to kind of play with the numbers of the budget and see specific data are all there in one place for folks. Our next conversation will actually be next week, July 18th, as we present to you and have a discussion about our capital plans, our CIP, our capital budgets, and your capital funds. That then will be followed by one more strategic plan presentation on August 15th. Actually, the last 4 departments that are remaining will present to you then. And then that will lead into our discussion of your proposed or our proposed 2024 budget on August 22nd. And then you will set your preliminary budget and property tax levy, otherwise known as what we've called in past our max tax, on September 19th. Just by way of a reminder, that's where the council sets the highest amount that you would levy in the final decision that you'll make in December, as required by state statute. You can't exceed that amount, but we can come down from that amount. So that kind of takes us then through the conclusion of the budget process in December, when you adopt your final tax and your final tax levy, and your final budget. So with that, I will turn it over to our first presentation this evening. Bethany Brewer will take us through our first ever strategic initiatives strategic plan. It's a lot of strategic.
It is a lot of
in that
strategic.
sense.
The printer got it wrong when they were talking to me about it.
All right.
Yep.
Well, we tried.
But what I like about everything that's been going on, you presented us earlier at the very beginning with a playbook.
Yep.
And everything seems to be well aligned. So thank you, everybody.
The team has worked hard.
Nicely done.
That's actually something that I should recognize as well, Mayor. I really appreciate the leadership team being here, between family and other commitments. Everyone around the table tonight has prioritized discussing these important department realities with you. So
But it's
it's a
nice
team
to,
sport.
yeah, it's to see everybody supporting one another. So, and they're all around the table. So great. Bethany.
Yeah. Mayor and Council, good evening. I'm excited to be able to be here to present our, like Greg said, our first Department of Strategic Initiatives strategic plan. We are a brand new and small, probably the newest and smallest department. Kaylee's here this evening as well, who is our OD manager as part of strategic initiatives. But very excited. Kaylee and I often talk about that we have the best jobs in the public sector, that we're so proud and honored to be able to work for Burnsville, a place that allows us to come and do the work that we do in organizational development and strategic initiatives to really help our people and teams be their best for the good of our community. So we're very, very honored and very happy to be here, and I'm excited to share a little bit more about what we do tonight through our strategic plan. So you've seen this slide in all of our plans. We kind of aligned them around, where are we now? Who are we? Where are we going? And how are we going to get there? So I'm going to take you through that briefly tonight as we go. Who we are, as I mentioned, as of this moment, is myself, the Strategic Initiatives Director, Kaylee, our OD Manager. We are very excited to be welcoming an OD consultant on Monday named Lauren Tieglin. Very excited to have her. So we're a small group, and we exist to, like I said, help people and teams be their best for the good of our community. You're going to hear me talk a lot about employee development, engagement, strengths, our values, our organizational culture, some of those things that, like I mentioned, are really unique about Burnsville and sort of our focus and being able to do that work. And then, of course, implementing strategic initiatives, things like the department's strategic plans that we are doing over the course of this summer in our budget to really help bring our vision and your vision and strategic priorities to life and kind of align all of our work, like you mentioned, Mayor, align our work together around those priorities and what we're delivering for the community. So that's who we are. A little bit about where we are now. Some of the things that we're doing day in and day out is, of course, like I mentioned, in working with organizational development in Burnsville University that we've talked about in this room some. You may have heard me or Greg say that we were really proud to have over 1,700 individual learning experiences delivered through Burnsville University in 2022. So again, I think something that's setting Burnsville apart in terms of employees being able to learn and grow and really be their best to be able to deliver the best possible service. You've heard us talk through our playbook that the most important thing we feel we're doing as a leadership team right now is to build culture through our managers. So that's a huge focus on what we're doing right now as we speak and into the future as what we'll talk about in this plan. We're helping teams be more engaged and safe and thinking about managers, thinking about employee well-being and good conversations. We're helping with, like I say, working with things like our plan, our department strategic plans to really help align our work with our strategic priorities. So those are the sorts of things that we're doing day in and day out now, really focusing on employee development and strengths and culture, and that we'll continue to do and prioritize through this year and kind of into the next years as we look at our strategic plan and where we're going. We feel like our service really aligns with all of our strategic priorities. What we do, I think, touches on all of them as we're trying to build a healthy organization by supporting employee well-being. We're really trying to create great experiences and help our employees be their best every day so that they can build great relationships with the community, so that it increases their capacity to interact with and build relationships with all of our community. That we are helping to kind of champion strengths-based development that allows employees to be their best, to have great ideas, and again, in some of the work we're doing with strategic plans and our organizational analysis are helping to kind of support the work we're doing in the entirety of our community in things like infrastructure and sustainability. Where are we going? So you'll notice in most of our strategic plans, we all talk about our three most important things that we're focusing on in each of our departments. And so to align with the playbook, several of our kind of most important things are some of the things that we've talked about in our leadership team playbook. But the first of which is enhancing our culture through engagement. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Kind of aligned with our next one is elevating the performance of our managers. So one of the things that we do a lot in strategic initiatives and organizational development is try to have good data from the experts that are out there, probably like many of us on all of the work we're doing to deliver great service. And so we definitely rely on kind of experts and data to help inform what we're doing so that our work is really impactful and effective. And so we know through kind of our research that our managers account for 70% of an individual employee's experience at work. And so that kind of comes to that, right? Elevating the performance of our managers and building our managers as great coaches is really important because it impacts ultimately, right, the experience of all of our employees. When Gallup trained, just a statistic, the type of thing I would use, Gallup trained over 14,000 managers to be effective coaches. And that increased their engagement scores kind of for those employees from 8 to 18% over a period of 18 months. And so we know that when employees are engaged at work, they're more productive, they're more safe, they provide better quality work. And so that engagement is a really impactful thing for us to focus on in terms of an employee being enthusiastic about their work and their workplace and invested in what they're doing. So those are some of our most important things where we're going. We also want to position people and teams to use their strengths every day. Again, kind of tying into some of that work in strengths and engagement, we know that people who focus on using their strengths are 3 times more likely to report having an excellent quality of life. So when we think about well-being for our employees, we know that we want to take great care of them so that, again, they can take great care of our community. So that kind of is what drives our most important priorities. I would say the kind of honorable mention that didn't make this list, only because these are very important, is also the work we're doing like this, our department strategic plans, this work coming alongside of all of our department directors and their teams to help align their work with our strategic priorities and what, right, ultimately each of them are trying to accomplish for the council on behalf of the community as well. So honorable mention, something else we focus a lot on. In sort of where we're going. How we're going to get there, there's a number of ways we're going to try to accomplish these things. A lot of it is focusing on, right, development, strategic planning, standard operating procedures, engagement plans, kind of strategy around strengths and engagement coaching. We do a lot of strengths coaching of our managers. Kaylee does great work on that. It's very impactful for our managers to be able to understand the strengths of their employees. And be able to create those great resources in their teams to help everybody be the most effective. So that's kind of a preview. We have some exciting things in the works and going on this year as part of this work. We're working on everything from delivering an enhanced onboarding experience for our employees to new performance development standards. So really focusing on when managers are working on performance development of their employees, just having ongoing conversations. There's a lot of research around having, managers having one meaningful conversation a week with their employees and just the great impact that has on engagement and, performance of a team. So we're working on strengths coaching, increasing kind of our understanding of strengths as an organization, and those types of activities and experiences that ultimately are going to help us achieve those things that we're looking at this year. And just really planning to extend that into next year. Also some interesting and exciting things we're trying to do to, we've talked a little bit, when we've talked about Burnsville University in this group, to talk about the potential to start perhaps enterprising Burnsville University, right? Being able to offer our experiences and our content to people in our neighboring communities to start that potential, like expanding out conference-style learning experiences that we could offer to our neighbors. Those types of things, an app, increasing the sort of technology and the access that employees would have to learning more on the go, electronically, those types of things. So we have a lot planned. We're excited to be able to do some of those things yet this year and into the next few years. And really just kind of to summarize what we're really doing to meet the needs of our community, we sort of look at it in these 3 categories. Building culture. So again, they're creating great experiences for our employees, building a culture of engagement and strengths to our managers so that they can ultimately create the best experience for our community. Again, aligning our work with council's strategic priorities and vision to ultimately be the most effective. And then just ensuring support, so both for council, the city managers, also around the organization to make sure that our employees are well taken care of for the good of the community. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Well, I don't have any questions. I just want to commend you for the work that you're doing. And also, Kaylee, because when I review the BYU agenda for each, I think you put it out every 2 weeks, you know, and it informs people on what's coming up, and also your measures. And I see that in your council weekly of what's being accomplished so far. So great work. Yeah. I look at what you're going to try and accomplish in the next 3 years. Building a culture is difficult. And when you're having employees come in and go out, it's always going to be a dynamic change. Yeah. So, good work. Nice. Okay, any other comments?
Nice job.
Yeah. I don't know if any other organization does this.
And there's certainly, we hear from a lot, as we've kind of been able to have some interest out on, you know, winning the League's Award and City of Excellence and those types of things. We've presented in quite a lot of different spaces to some of our other communities and things like that, and people are definitely interested in what we're doing, you know, and but definitely unique. So we feel very honored to do it.
Thank you. I think the floor is yours, Jenny, and congratulations on being deputy as well. So,
Thank you.
and Alyssa, it's good to see you at the table.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. I'm happy to be here tonight to present the Finance Department strategic plan, informing our plans for 2024 and beyond. As we look at kind of where we are now, an overview of where we are now, where we're going, and how will we get there. Really, much of our year has been spent in terms of internally on building our team. Really with a renewed focus on culture, team, and development, whether that be, you know, internal BU development or external technical training. Really on a day-to-day basis, our work touches pretty much every department, almost on a weekly basis, whether that be through just regular check payments or revenue processing or just budget or finance questions. We're really there to support the work of other departments. We also interact with, you know, outside customers through our utility billing and EMS support, billing support. Our focus has really been to emphasize high quality service while balancing some of the other legal and compliance requirements that we're subject to, and maintaining strong internal controls. As we look at one of our, you know, really, I think if you asked us, our top focus is really to safeguard the city's financial assets and make sure those are available to do the work that other departments are, so that departments have the resources and are able to provide the programs and resources for the community. Part of where we're going is really to enhance, what we've been working on is enhancing our budget and CIP process. This year, we've really done a lot of work focusing on the CIP process, bringing that process, moving that up, doing more documentation and discussions earlier, really to provide a better product and more transparency through the budget process. Additionally, as we look forward, we're going to be looking at utilizing technology really to improve our customer-facing products. We completed a banking RFP this year, and we'll be looking at a new ERP system and starting that process later this year into the next couple of years. So we want to make sure. We've also focused on cross-training and really looking at ways that we can be more sustainable internally within our department, really cross-training across those critical functions so that there's many benefits to that. It provides positive audit results and then sustainability into the future. Part of where we are going and how we'll get there, we really want to continue to enhance our service to our internal customers as well as to the community. The mission in finance is we oversee the city's finance and accounting function, promoting transparency, efficiency, and accountability with the resources that are entrusted to us by our residents. What our department does is often behind the scenes, and what we want to do is make sure that we're just maybe behind the scenes. When we're doing a good job, you maybe don't hear about us, and I think that's part of what we do well. We ensure funds are available, and we really process that activity right to assist departments in their day-to-day activity. Well, where are we now? So a little bit about kind of the main areas that we focus on: accounting and auditing of the city funds. A lot of our projects are annual projects. The annual audit of the financial statements and federal grants, and that happens every year. It's one of our biggest projects, as well as financial planning and budgeting. Budgeting the annual budget and CIP is the biggest single project that we lead during the year, and one of them, and arguably the most important one. We maintain the financial records and reporting. Really, as we look at that, we maintain strong process and procedures. We want to look to refine our standard operating procedures and make sure that they're as up to date as possible. We also perform many or provide many reports to outside agencies. There's various financial reports to state, federal, and local governments every year, and those usually run through our area. We provide financial support for grant accounting and reporting, assist with annual grant reports and compliance with those audit requirements. The overall debt management and capital financing. So as part of the budget process, we also look at areas where maybe some projects need to be financed with debt. We usually do an annual debt issuance, so that that management and that ongoing SEC compliance requirements we're responsible for those. And then finally, I think this is a very important role, and one that we take a lot of pride in, really providing financial advice and support to departments. So we're really there to answer questions and assist when departments have questions. In terms of alignment with our strategic priorities, I think what we do touches each one of these areas. As we look at safety, I think I mentioned this earlier on an earlier slide, we really look to ensure and safeguard the city's assets. Also, making sure through the budget and management of the finances that there's funds available so that departments have the equipment and resources they need to do their job on a day-to-day basis. With community engagement as well, looking to provide additional communication and transparency where we can around the budget process, as well as providing funds as well as making those funds available for community programs. Organizational culture. We've really looked at enhancing our internal team development and training, whether that be through our internal available courses or outside the organization. We've onboarded a number of new employees this year, so we're also looking at additional technical training because sometimes those staff don't have governmental accounting experience and things like that. So we're really wanting to make that training available so that we can be best prepared. Community vibrancy. We look to really provide support for programs or projects that really enhance the community, as well as infrastructure, looking at enhancing the CIP process, assisting with debt management on projects as needed, and those kinds of things. In terms of sustainability, really maintaining good internal controls, making sure we're complying with all of our, with all the financial reporting requirements and legal compliance requirements that we have got a strong financial sustainability into the future. Where are we going? We're going to continue to enhance the budget and CIP processes as we started, I think, last year with the operating budget, and this year now with the CIP process. We've done a lot of things to enhance that, but that's going to be an ongoing process. We'll make improvements every year, but that's really going to be a focus as we go forward. Continue to maintain and implement best practices to promote financial sustainability, really maintaining those strong practices, documenting our standard operating procedures, making sure that we're, everybody knows what's expected. That's going to be important as we move forward, and really enhance our service to the organization and the community. If we're best serving our internal and external customers, then we're doing our job and really using our strengths to make that happen. How will we get there? To accomplish our three most important things, as we looked at aligning kind of our three most important things with the playbook, the first two come directly from that, really improving our budget and CIP process, and the second, under sustainability, maintaining and implementing sound financial practices, and then we'll continue to focus on our team development and training with an emphasis on engagement. I think that's really important. I think we've really made a lot of progress in that area, and I think that's been really great for us to function as a team. We had some turnover this year, and I think we had a lot of people doing a little bit different things, and it really worked well, and I think people see those opportunities for development within the department, and they've really taken advantage of it. In year one, under continue to enhance the budget and CIP process, we really started the process earlier in the year. I think that's key to getting those large capital funds, capital budgets in line, and really preparing, having that ready ahead of the rest of the budget. We've implemented meetings with the city manager, much like we implemented last year with the operating budget. We're really working to provide support and advising departments through the budget development process, and here to answer questions. Providing transparency in our communication around the CIP as well. On a kind of day-to-day basis throughout the year, we also assist departments if they need help monitoring their budgets, or maybe they need different reports or things like that. We're here to help in that area as well. Maintaining and implementing practices to promote financial sustainability. Part of that is we led the annual financial statement audit. That went well again this year with good results. We'll continue to be there for departments to answer their financial questions. We've also focused on cross-training staff to really create continuity of operations across the department. I think while turnover, it can sometimes be difficult, it also created an opportunity where we had that opportunity for different people to take on new roles and take on new responsibilities, and I think we've really had great results with that. We'll also take a look and review and update our investment policy this year. In terms of enhancing our service to the organization and community, we'll continue investment in development opportunities and team building. Hire and onboard open positions in the org analysis. We're looking forward. We have a project accountant that we'll be onboarding at the end of this month, so we're really looking forward to having that position back. It's very critical. The city really utilizes project accounting extensively, so that's a very important position within our department. Looking to really build relationships with departments and partners in the community, and really create that partnership and collaboration across departments. And then elevate our performance through engagement, and really focusing on the Q12 and really using our strengths every day. Year 2 and 3, we'll continue to enhance and support the budget development, really looking for additional opportunities through implementation of technology. We're going to be reviewing and evaluating an ERP system. So part of that, we use our current ERP system for budgeting, so we'll have to look at a solution, whether that be a combined solution or separate systems. But really, I think we'll be looking for an enhanced budget system as well. And also, we're going to be taking a look at our own internal financial policies and really making sure those are standardized and updated as we move forward. And continue to really focus on our culture within our team, employee development, engagement, and strengths. As we go forward, these are the areas that we're really, kind of the three main areas as we look at it really, and we'll continue to focus on enhancing our service to the organization and meeting community needs. And I think that takes me to the end.
Questions for Jenny? Congratulations on a clean audit.
Thanks. That's always a nice feeling.
That was very, very well done, and and everything, and I know that you're all working very hard with regard to this, and just looking at your program for year 1 and 2 and 3. So a lot of work. That CIP, I think, is going to be a lift that you're working on now that really has to look at all of our assets, above the ground, below the ground, every park, all of those. So as I listen to you and looking at the CIP for everything from public works to parks and Tom's department.
Yeah.
It's okay, Tom, you have some money coming from the feds, don't you? We'll have to work with Jenny on some of
About
that,
that, Tom.
on the broadband stuff.
But actually, Mayor, that's a good point.
Yeah.
We recognize that the financial performance of the organization, and more importantly, to the benefit of the community, really is dependent on us being intentional about our financial sustainability, and that starts with some significant changes in the finance department. This plan really lays those out.
Yeah.
The short presentation, but summary version is things like grants and grant management has become significantly more important over the course of the past even 12 months. And we recognize that alongside, Jenny talked about an enhanced CIP and operating budget process. We're really putting ourselves on the leading edge of the type of information and data and metrics that we're going to use to inform building budgets and bringing recommendations to you. We recognize that we're going to need to resource that appropriately. So you'll see some of those changes in an effective way happening as we evaluate the use of FTEs and the resources that we have available to us to make that happen.
Yeah, because there's some changes coming from the new laws from the state that has an impact on our personnel. The duty piece.
For sure.
And I know I sat in on that meeting today.
Oh, the duty disability.
Yeah, the
webinar
duty
today.
disability, that's going to be, boy, that's going to be something that's four of you are going to have to really look at. Because I was listening to that, I texted Greg and I says, okay, this is really, yeah. So I know that you guys are also tuning in on all of that.
There's been dynamic changes both at the federal and the state level that we need
Yeah.
to be in tune with and frankly taking advantage of as a community. And we're focused on doing just that and making the appropriate changes to ensure that the community and our taxpayers benefit.
Because what's coming out of that with regard to mental health and taking care of our people, that's, you're going to have to go through para, but then we're still going to be paying a lot of that until at the very end. Then we get the reimbursement. So that means we have to carry a whole lot of that cost. Hey, you guys figure that out.
I remain optimistic, Mayor. The summary
Yeah.
version is
Yep.
we're getting some help in an area
Yeah.
where we really we are
Yeah.
we are a case study example of the need for changes in
Yeah.
this space.
I'm optimistic. I'm just saying that we're going to have a lot of carry when you're looking at our reserves with all of this, so. And then also, with the U.S. Conference of Mayors, we're lobbying in Congress for more direct funding coming to cities for mental health. Because if it goes to the state and it doesn't come directly to us, we're the ones dealing with it on a day-to-day basis, especially the two of you. And at the same time, we don't get the money to help with all of that. And yet I see the costs continuously to go up and up and up. So thank you to all of you for all of that work, because I look at it, yeah, there's money coming in from the feds, there's money coming in from the state, but there are a lot of tails.
Madam Mayor, it's worth
Yeah.
noting that the NLC National League of Cities is also pushing on a lot of fronts for direct funding to cities.
Yeah.
And bypassing the usual, maybe traditional
That it
route
goes
to go through the
To the
state.
county before it comes
Right.
to us.
That there's definitely a major effort on the NLC's part to advocate and lobby for direct funding to
If we're all
cities.
singing with one voice, then they'll hear it. And I'm connecting with our congressional delegation from Angie to both our senators to look at that and to have direct funding,
Well, it's good to have you
yeah.
with the U.S. Conference of Mayors and your tenure and leadership there,
Yeah.
helping push that effort.
Yeah, and we need to get that done on a lot of different fronts. Okay, I think, the next one is Chief Junkman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Feel honored to be before you tonight to share our strategic plan and share the great work that our firefighter paramedics do day in and day out, and kind of our plan for the future. So we'll talk about where we're at now, where we're going, and how we're going to get there. You've likely seen this before, but we're really a mission and values-driven organization. We hire great people and entrust them taking care of the community, and we can't write a policy manual that they can memorize. So we find it very important that they live our mission and values, and we found great success with that. And when they align their decisions with our mission and values, they take care of the community and the organization and themselves. So where are we now? Some of our strengths. We're a fully capable EMS organization. I'm very proud of the work that our firefighter paramedics do. We're not just a fire department that happens to do EMS. We take EMS very seriously. And they're highly skilled and competent in what they do. The same thing on the fire side. It can be easy to be complacent since we don't have fires day in and day out, thankfully, to stay competent and skilled in that. We're well equipped thanks to all of your support so that we can have the resources necessary to respond. We rely on mutual aid and automatic aid. All of our 5 neighboring fire departments we have a great relationship with, as well as the surrounding ambulance services. We're strategic in our approach. I'm very proud of the fact that we're a data-driven organization. I can tell you that's a newer concept in the fire service, but we tend to push the edge on that. We're also committed to the safety and wellness of our staff. Fire Station 1 is probably the most prominent visible sign of that, but we want our staff to be well so that they can take care of the community. We do have some limitations. Obviously, there's fiscal limitations, so the staffing is not well resourced compared to the call volume, but we do the best with what we got. We have some geographic limitations with 2 fire stations, right? We can only perform a certain response time given that. Demographics, we know we have a changing community. We know that the demographics are aging, and that increases the demand for service. And then when we talk about limited scope of practice, we can't be everything to everyone. And the example I will use is we stopped having our own technical rescue team about 10 years ago. We used to do that in-house, and now we rely on Dakota County Special Operations Team for hazardous materials and technical rescue. And we have members of that, but we don't keep that in-house. We focus on the core mission of the organization, and those responses are high risk, low frequency, but it's better to do a collaborative approach on that and really focus our intention on the day-to-day risks within the community. As far as opportunities, really relationships. We continue to build them internally and externally. We're very fortunate to have council, community, and staff support. And the other thing is the redevelopment. We've seen a lot of that. And that brings buildings into newer codes with other safety standards. And we find great civic support. The community is an outstanding supporter of the department. When we look at the threats of the organization, is really recruitment challenges. We got to think about this differently. They used to come to us fully trained. That's not going to be our future. They're just not there. The pool that we were drawing from is drying up. The healthcare system, it's overwhelmed and it's broken. People can't get to primary care. They can't get to transitional care to get patients out of the hospital, and that leaves us picking up the pieces in the community. We still have numerous multifamily buildings with no sprinkler systems and less than desirable management. And as you've seen, we work to increase enforcement and have enhanced enforcement with the assistance of the city attorney on those properties. And really, we're triaging those issues based on staff resources. And then the other one is the diverse needs for community risk reduction. Lots of times we think about fire safety, but I'm really proud of the pilot that you have all supported on the EMS community risk reduction. Again, we're going about it differently to care for our community. So how do our services align with our strategic priorities? With safety, we protect lives and property. With engagement, it's fire safety and day-to-day interactions with the public. We're out there interacting, and I will tell you, some of the most effective interactions we have are at the grocery store or after a call with people that come up at an apartment building.
Yeah.
Those unscheduled ones are very authentic and very helpful. When we look at organizational culture, we hire the right people, we train them and we equip them, and we treat them well, resulting in highly motivated and highly engaged employees. And we really appreciate the council's support on the leading the market compensation philosophy. That really helps us recruit and retain high-quality staff. On vibrancy.
Before you move on from that, because of that action that we took, are we slowing down people not moving and being poached from other agencies who are just getting into full-time fire and they want the paramedic trained, equipped firefighters from us?
Madam Mayor, I would say it's going to take us some time to really evaluate that. We've only lost one this year, and I think it's a longer-term philosophy to help us retain them, but I do think that will help. I think that's one of the important pieces,
Okay.
for sure. Community vibrancy, when we look at that, we're avoiding blight with our actions on rental housing and fire prevention efforts, right? We want to keep the community vibrant and safe. On the infrastructure, we have the fire stations, and lots of times you don't associate the water system with the fire department naturally, but that is a very important component to us. And working with the water department, and particularly the private water systems we have in town at many of these complexes. And then sustainability. Really, we have the most sustainable model because we send the right resources. We aren't sending duplicative resources. If it's a low acuity call, particularly on the EMS side, we send 2 firefighter paramedics and an ambulance. Other communities have to send police and or fire to first respond for the ambulance because they don't know when the ambulance is going to show up. If it's 50% of our calls that are low acuity, we only send the 2 paramedics. If it's a chest pain and unconscious cardiac arrest, we send additional resources based on what the need is and the information we have available. So it's a very sustainable model, and we're using the best information to send the right resources at the right time. So I'm excited to talk about where we're going. We really want to work on the mental health care system innovation. This EMS community risk reduction pilot with the opioids is one way to work on that. We continue to work on our enhanced on-shift staffing with the org analysis and our standards of cover, continuing to evaluate what is the demand versus what are the resources we need to meet that demand. That multifaceted community risk reduction. We continue to work on our improvement of our operation. How can we do it better? We routinely send people to training outside the organization, even outside the state, so that we can get other ways of doing business. The way we do business today might not be the right way in the next 5 years. So continuing to evaluate what's the best way to do business. And then really enhancements to protect our firefighter wellness practices. And I'm really proud on the mental health side, what we've done with bringing out a mental health professional, and that's been so wildly successful in the past 2 years. And I'm amazed at how many folks have taken advantage of that service and what positive impact that's had in our organization. And we're really leading the market with that. How will we get there? We're committed to deep professionalism, delivering the highest quality of service with attention to integrity, communication, collaboration, and continuous improvement. So we are committed to excelling through our mission. So on the healthcare system innovation front, again, we're gonna pilot that community risk reduction model. We're gonna continue to have collaboration and conversation with healthcare providers. I will tell you in that EMS risk reduction, just in its initial phases here, it's amazing how many chemical dependency providers and other providers in the community that we weren't even aware of, right? They don't call us, we don't necessarily interact with them regularly. It's allowed us to open a relationship with these folks and understand what they do, what resources they can bring to the table. On the staffing front, like I said, we're going to continue to keep our standard of cover up to date. That was done 3-4 years ago, and I will tell you, one of my concerns with that is that was built on a 5% call volume increase, and because that's what we were seeing. And if you recall from last year, we had a 14% call volume increase, and so far this year, we're seeing a 10+% call volume increase. So when you start compounding those numbers, it starts to accelerate the need for staffing to meet the demand within the community. So we'll need to reevaluate that as we move forward here. And like I said, the multifaceted community risk reduction is another area I'm proud of. We're not just focused on fire, we're focused on keeping the community safe as a whole. We talked about the continuous improvement of the operation. Again, training, learning from others. We're doing what's called echelon front training, leadership training with our current and future leaders. We're building some resiliency. We have an acting captain program, so folks that want to be fire captains in the future, they come train with our current captains, and we provide leadership training. We have an organizational improvement committee that has firefighters, captains, and chiefs on it to look at how we improve the organization. We get feedback from every level of the organization. And then, like I said, the wellness. I'm really proud of the mental health provider and the program that we've established there. We have a very active health and wellness committee within the department. And like I said, Station 1 is a perfect example from stem to stern, from community spaces as well as health and wellness of our firefighters. So, and we took an important step this year that we changed how we hire people. Was we got rid of our agility test and added a firefighter fitness index. So the firefighters, we all take that index every year, and you can actually earn incentive time off based on that. And we did that instead of a pass-fail test because it's more in line with our culture of being supportive. So now new candidates that want to come in, they get to see where they're at, and we have peer fitness trainers. So they connect with one of our peer fitness trainers, and we say, here's where you should be at, here's where you're going to be most successful, and here's a program on how to get there. And we answer their questions, and we have more engagement with our potential candidates. So again, looking at how we can do things better and different, and we're open to that. So with that, I know I talked a lot in a few minutes here, so I'll stand for any questions you might have.
Again, first of all, I want to thank you for always stepping up and helping when there is a shortage in leadership. So thank you for the work that you're doing in Public Works and helping to fill that gap as we go through the process of getting a new Public Works director. Thank you so much for that. Also love all the videos that's going out on social media that explains to our residents, because you talk about keeping the community safe, but you also explain through these videos, you know, why we use the resources we use when we go out on a call. Why is it that you have an ambulance and a fire rig going out? Very well done. It helps people to understand. And to your comment about engagements at the grocery store, when I'm at the grocery store and the firefighters are there picking up lunch, they're being engaged by people, asking questions. So it's like, okay, I hope that they'll have time to, to have before another call comes in. But yeah, I see that. I've witnessed that. And that's wonderful. But thank you for everything, because even the things that you're doing with the new kind of training that you're doing, that engagement, and that people see that you care enough to help them. And also that when people are looking to advance in leadership, that there is a program that allows them to, so they're making that decision ahead of time and not waiting till there's an opening and say, oh, maybe I'd like to do that. You're training them to be leaders. Yeah, nicely done.
Thanks, Madam Mayor, and a huge shout out to Captain Chris Walker and our communications department and bringing those videos together. It's their brainchild, and they've done a great job of making that come to reality. And I agree, it's a great way to educate the community in really short snippets of what we do.
Well, because I always share that, so I get feedback from the community. And even the postings that come out of the union, I always share that, and people like that, to see all the different training that our folks go through. And they say things like, I didn't know that. Well, this is good transparency and letting people know. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
Nice
job, Chief.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, and nice job on our new pilot program.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
It's getting off the ground. We're excited about it.
yeah, saw that. Okay, so that's what we have, and now we move on to roundtable. And the first item on roundtable is electronic billboards. Councilmember Keely?
Pardon me, I'm just finishing a note. I brought this up because in reading the newspaper article, actually, from the recent activity with Clear Channel in our city and sort of reconnecting with our policy on billboards.
You were here when we did a lot of that.
Yes, many, many years ago.
Yeah. And I remember with Dave Edmonds, because he was very much a part of that,
Yep.
because
It
it
just
was on
seems to-
KMM property.
Yeah, it seems to me that we have, that our mission is to try and eliminate any possible billboards left in the city, and we're getting close to that. According to the article, 23 is what we had when the policy was first taken up some years ago, and we're down to 8. And I want to clarify it, is that 4 billboards with 2 faces, or is that actually 8 billboard location? Call them 8 billboard poles. Could anyone on staff clarify that?
I think I'm going to go to Jeff, because he would probably have a more intimate knowledge of our policy. Jeff?
Yeah, Mayor and Council, in terms of existing inventory, it's 8 billboard structures. All of them have two
Two
faces
sides.
on them, so a total of 16 billboard faces in the
Thank you.
community.
So we've gone from 23 down to 8, which is a pretty dramatic reduction over the last several years. My trouble with the policy today is it appears that there was, like, maybe there was a mathematical goal to get down to as few as possible or whatever, but in today's world, it is now, I'm looking at it through a lens of, it seems like we're trying to eliminate a private business opportunity completely, like just erase it. From 23 to 8 is a dramatic reduction, and I know that the goal was set many councils ago to reduce, and I was a part of the original, to reduce dramatically, and I feel like we have mission accomplished because we're down to only 8. And these electronic billboards offer a significant value. They're much better looking. They're able to change the message, and they provide the community with municipal, basically, messages or community-based messages. They can be obviously Amber Alert, large message boards. So I guess I'm bringing this up. I don't have a problem with the ordinance that's coming before us next week. I think what that is stating may be, it appears to be justified. But so I'm not objecting to that, and I'm not going to be here next week to participate in that, but I don't have a problem with that. I think I have a problem with, going down this road of, a company wants to bring another conversion from a static to an electronic, and under our policy, that means they have to give up a billboard. And so it's take one down if you want to improve this one. And I think, in my opinion, 8 is enough, if I could coin that phrase. I think we don't need.
Everyone who laughed is old.
That we don't need to further beyond next week's adjustment. I would like the council, after that is done, to have a discussion of whether this is the right policy to continue to have, to essentially continue to drive down the numbers. When companies come to us in the free market and say, we'd like to take a static face and make it electronic, which is a dramatic increase in investment. It's a dramatic increase in the appeal, the aesthetics of the billboard. As noted, we worked with a company called Clear Channel, and I believe they're involved in next week's decision that came through Planning Commission. There's limestone around the base. We're able to put our city logo on it. And again, the benefits of an electronic board are significantly better than a static board. So my message to council, my ask is that we take this up and consider revising what's on the books today to allow the rest of the billboards to remain. If a person wants to come in, or a company that owns one, and put electronic faces on it, more power to them. I support it, because it's a dramatic improvement to the billboard. But I don't think that they should have to take one down to put one up that's electronic. And I certainly think with the city of our size, with 2 major interstates coming through, 8 billboards is not an eyesore by any stretch. And actually, when they're converted to an electronic face, they're really nice looking. So that's my ask. Not something we have to decide today as far, do anything today, just let's come back and bring this up at a future council and talk about that ordinance.
I could support putting it further down simply because here's the thing, because when we talked about dynamic boards, if you remember, we said how many messages would be there, how many advertisements, because a dynamic board, Clear Channel would have probably 8 different, remember we had them change from 304, and then it runs so many seconds
Yeah,
before it
MnDOT, I think
changes.
standard is 8 seconds.
Yeah, 8 seconds. We went to the 8 seconds because we
didn't go to 8
we're
seconds
in
right away.
No, but we were in alignment with MnDOT.
Eventually, we got there.
Eventually, we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was, prior council members were antsy about any animation, so they
At one
wanted
time, you could only change once every 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's when we got involved, is like,
Yeah, and I would much rather we have this, put this on a round table and then decide what we do to direct staff, because I think, Jared, is this something that you might weigh in on, simply because, well, the thing is, I like the fact that you're saying, let's not make a decision right now, because we have an application before us. And it's not appropriate for us to do anything when an active application is before us to act on it.
Do you want to try?
Yeah?
Well, Mayor and Council, that's correct, and we certainly don't want to discuss the subject matter of the application that's pending in front of the
Can't
council for
circumvent.
next week. But I think Jeff has some comments with respect to this issue that we can kind of tangentially consider.
Yeah, Mayor and Council, I would concur that, the application from Clear Channel has made its
Gone
way
through
through
the
the planning
process.
commission process. That'll be on your regular agenda
Next
next week for discussion of their proposal. They have, as part of that application, they have not requested any changes to this provision of the ordinance. So it's certainly something the council could take up on its own
Yeah.
in terms of the
Yeah.
dynamic conversion piece. The second piece, without going too far into it, we also have existing agreements in place with property owners for 3 billboard structures in town.
Yeah.
A PUD agreement and a settlement agreement that call for the removal of those. And then that's outside of the provision in the ordinance about conversion of a dynamic display. So if it's a policy direction the council wants to discuss, we would want to bring forth both of those items because they really are two separate discussion, or two different items for the council. One, the ordinance, and two, existing agreements in place for the call for removal yet here in 2023.
Yeah, because I do remember the ones that needed to be removed. And I remember the one that has to do with Mrs. Young, because the family asked if it can stay up, because that was something, Jeff, from the 80s? That was at the PUD back in the 80s when the
1990.
Birdsville Marketplace was put in place?
The
Because that was
agreement-
that was Mr. Young's property. And then I believe it was under Ebling, I think so, that we allowed that particular board to stay up because the family asked that it continue so Mrs. Young could have money in her old age. But then when she died, it had to come down, and they agreed to say that it comes down. And I understand Mrs. Young died last year?
That's correct.
And they're following through, right? Okay.
I have no problem talking about it in the future. Dan, you and I actually led the lead on electronic billboards in town when they first came in and fought pretty
Yeah.
hard to get it done. And I remember it was 24 hours, and I think it went down every 30 seconds it could change, and there were all kinds of different things that kept happening. I think
But-
2013, when you guys, I was gone then, but you guys made some more changes to the whole thing.
But it was,
About that.
it's nice that you have one billboard, but when it's dynamic, it has a lot of, they're selling it to a lot of different
Well, no,
companies.
I have no problem with
Yeah.
electronic billboards.
Yeah.
We go through this every few years talking about signs. It's just something the cities always talk about, and I think we'll always continue to talk about. The fact that Clear Channel came in and said, we're gonna do this is what we wanna do, and this is how they presented it.
Yeah.
We'll deal with that next week, but we can certainly take a look at policies going forward if it makes sense and that sort of thing.
Yeah, just to
I
be-
don't think we're gonna be talking about,
Yeah.
do we add more billboards to the city
No.
at all?
Just to be clear, this is purely mine. No one contacted me about this. I read the newspaper article reflecting the
same
planning
article.
commission, and
Yeah, I did too.
I felt like it was an attack on private business, and I thought, enough's enough. I think we ought to bring it back and
Well,
talk about
actually,
it.
the planning just complied with what they asked to do. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
really what it was,
It's-
so.
Yeah.
Everything's being done according to our current ordinance,
Right.
and I don't think there's any issues with what's going on, with the decision next week. This is,
Okay.
let's think down the road, let's plan and have a discussion about, all right, do we want to stay where we're at, or do we want to
Yeah.
adjust
Okay.
the policy?
So what I'm hearing
It's
is
probably
that
gonna
let's
be
put
years
it.
before another
yeah.
billboard comes at us again anyways, but.
Well, from what we'll have a discussion with this in the future. And then it'll be on another roundtable, and then we can take a look and see what we do and how we direct staff. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. The next one is the Dan Patch commuter line. Who is that? Vince? Kara? Who wanted? You can opt out. We can opt out, and I'm happy to let Representative Hanson know that we're opting out.
I had asked Greg about it, but Kara beat me to it, it sounds.
Huh?
It's a joint ask. We're jointly asking.
Oh,
I think
okay.
it was top of mind.
We don't have to participate,
Yeah,
Well, there was a comment in the article that made reference to cities funding studies. And I
Yeah,
just
but it
wanted to
says you can
clarify-
opt out.
Right,
the
so I
study.
think that's
Yes.
where my head was at, is I'm not interested in participating in anything Dan Patch.
I have been involved in all of this, even during the GAG down in Northfield at the university. I've walked Southwest Burnsville. That train track that comes through Lakeville into Burnsville and Southwest, if you've gone into the backyards I have no interest. So, we can opt out. I read the article also, and you can opt out on that survey or opt in. We don't, and I am clear that I can say to Representative Hanson, we're trying to raise money in other areas. We don't have the money. You know, we have to do Nicollet and,
Right.
and 13. So I don't have any problems.
I don't
Yeah.
have a problem participating in a survey, but if it comes to a financial ask, that's where I would say we don't.
Yeah, but that's where they said that, if you read the article says that the survey was going to be funded by interested cities.
Oh, right, right.
And you can opt out.
Opt out. Is what
And
I'm
me too.
advocating for.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and I think the only reason why we're asking is just because it was a little bit of a surprise. I don't know. To see, to see that, like, I get it. It was a little bit of a surprise to see it in the paper, but just getting clarity on that, so.
So was that article
And I
accurate?
don't, yeah.
What was that?
I thought there was some money in one of the bills over there for some funding, should somebody want to do something. And I'm not
Yeah.
advocating for Dan Patch, I'm just saying.
Right.
They lifted a poor policy,
Yeah.
that gag order was poor policy, period. And they're just starting to discuss this stuff, and it's gonna be years before it
Yeah.
Yeah.
ever gets to our city.
Listen,
if at
way
all.
back when, I walked those neighborhoods down in southwest Burnsville. There is no way. Those developments came after all of that. If you walk it, that railroad track is right on top of their backyard.
But Savage seems to want to pursue this.
Yeah.
Well, but,
They have a different agenda than we do.
so what?
I'm just saying,
So what?
There are
Listen,
people that want
Edina
this.
and South and St. Louis Park don't want it
Right.
also, so what?
I'm not sure how St. Louis Park got southwest lines myself, but
I have no comment.
Greg?
That was in a different time, a different life.
Yeah.
It's a
So-
different time.
So I think it's a moot point.
This was a time.
I think we're all.
I think just for
there.
clarification purposes, we wanted to get out the conversation of will we or won't we participate in a financial investment in this ask if it comes to us.
We've got so much that we have to get.
Right.
You know, I'm out begging for money for 13, and Nicollet and other things. And I'm begging for money for that.
I got enough irons in the fire.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Should we take up a
We've
collection
got
at the
other
festival?
big things to get to.
You may be governor by the time
Okay.
it comes to us.
Yeah, right.
Vince.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yep, I'm good.
So just for my
Nothing.
clarity,
There's nothing for staff to do.
we won't take further action or a further agenda item, but I am
got a
hearing the
temperature of the
majority of
room.
the council saying that,
It's a unanimous.
yeah, that
It's a
there
no.
is there's not an interest in, future financial investment.
None at all.
Perhaps.
No. Oh, Hugo, you might want to put that in our meeting with Savage, that we're not going to be
No?
participating in
Duly
any
noted, Mayor.
financial contributions to a survey. Because they're a good partner, but we'll let them know that we're not going to do it,
John and I had lots of conversations.
okay? We'll let Savage know that we're not going to participate,
Let's do a press release.
okay? Everybody okay? Okay, we're moving on. Kara, this is yours, allowing alcohol for public rental at City Hall.
This item is withdrawn. This is not a policy decision.
Okay, very good. I will go now to reports. Vince,
I was gonna make notes at the LMC conference in Duluth and I didn't, so I would defer to Greg if he wants to say anything.
There was as I recall, a fantastic update in one of my weekly emails about that.
There
Vince. So I
was.
did that for you.
it was,
So, no,
It
There was
was.
there was links to presentations and everything.
about
I know.
LGA and.
Yeah.
yeah, and then there was something about this
Cannabis.
No, the
opening,
cannabis materials
yeah.
in there as well.
all of that. And there were,
University taught by
yeah.
River Falls, Wisconsin.
okay,
No updates.
Gustafson,
Couts. Art and all that jazz, we're on track.
yeah,
2 days this year, Friday night, the 18th, in the Ames Center with Steve Cole, and then all day on Saturday at Nicollet Commons Park. And we got a great lineup. If you're jazz people, we've got some of the best in the Twin Cities coming out this year. Pretty
and
excited
no
about
rain.
it. No rain. For the Ames, I don't care, we'll be inside. But the next day, no rain. And then Experience Burnsville, we're all going to Nicollet Commons Park tomorrow for headshots. Apparently, they want to put us on a webpage, so. Our new and improved webpage as our outreach continues.
Okay.
These guys are doing a nice job over there. They're really sticking to it. We got a good board.
Yeah. Michelle?
Councilmember Johnston, can you please clarify the dates for Art and All That Jazz?
Oh, sure, August 18th and 19th.
Thank you.
Friday the 18th, Saturday the 19th. And we did make one change on Saturday. Our music now starts at 1 instead of noon, and we end at 9 instead of 10. Just give it that little shorter, more intense kind of.
Yeah, we always end at 9.
I know, yeah, I
It
know.
always creeps up to 9:30.
Well, that's what made us make the change, because we kind of kept noticing that about 8:30, 8:45, people just start slowly leaving. It's like, what, just do it.
You gotta catch the 10 o'clock news, so.
Well, I won't, but the people that are there will get 10 o'clock.
Anything else?
I'm thinking, no. Our board meeting for metropolitan cities was canceled this month, so it'll be next month.
Okay. Yeah.
So the board that will not die is having a meeting tomorrow.
And look at Tom. I'm looking at Tom and he's chuckling.
So close.
Yes.
Actually, I'm glad you brought that up.
There's one item left to clarify. The county is asking that they receive their disbursement of funds.
Yep.
And so that is I think the one item left to clean up and
That was in Greg's,
vote on tomorrow.
yeah, that
Yep.
was in Greg's
Background.
Exactly.
weekly.
Yes, exactly. So, there you go.
Bold move.
That's it.
Did they want money back?
So,
Quit the board, they say I want my money?
DCC,
Yeah, right.
Chief, we need to get is it the sheriff or who, to allow DCC to get the camera footage?
Oh, Madam Mayor, that's the county board to allow.
The county board,
Yeah, we need the county board. They
okay.
aren't allowing Dakota 911 to have access to the county
So
traffic
911
cameras.
needs the access to those, okay.
Yeah.
Why?
We'll have a conversation with the commissioner. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anything else, Karen?
That's it.
Councilmember Keely?
Nothing new on the committee front. My transportation did not get canceled. That's coming up in a couple weeks. Transportation-wise, we've had some deep discussions at MBTA and STA on the interpretation of the new transportation bill. And we had obviously very great work done by our lobbyists to ensure funding got in for microtransit. Latest ridership report was still continued dramatic growth in our on-demand microtransit. It's gaining a lot of attention in Minnesota. I'm sharing a lot of that with our NLC Transportation Infrastructure Federal Advisory Committee members. I think it's something that is going to continue to grow quite dramatically, and there's no surprise to me, because who wouldn't, on a snowy, freezing cold day, or a pouring rain day, or any day where mobility challenges exist, have someone pick them up at their doorstep, as opposed to trying to get from their home or business a block or two or several blocks away to be able to catch a defined route transit bus. So our express service in and out of downtown is kind of holding at about half of what it was pre-pandemic. We still lag the country for recovery on that, and that's more unique to the state of Minnesota because of our population has not returned to the office the way it has in other cities. But overall, it's still a service that's down, and it may never get to those pre-pandemic levels. Who knows? On a festival update, since Councilmember Workman did not mention anything here, I will. We are,
It's in September.
yes, but never miss an opportunity
the
to
date?
market and advertise and get chatter going. After summer is over and we've enjoyed the International Festival, which I'm
This
sure you're covering,
weekend.
this Saturday, which I'll be at with members of my family who are coming in a day early for my family reunion next week. We're going to attend, so we'll see you. I'm sure we'll see you there.
Yeah.
Probably you'll be
Yeah.
on stage with the
No,
microphone,
no,
welcoming people.
Yeah, only at the beginning.
And they're looking forward to it. I sent them a link, and they're like, this looks exciting, it's great. And then our Party on the Plazas, we got 2 more of those. And of course, we have the Art and All at Jazz. And then when everyone is done going to the State Fair, and school has started, and they get a day of school, they'll have one last chance to party at the end of the year, before the weather changes. And that is at the Burnsville Festival in Firemuster, September 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So, we are cruising along. Thanks to folks like BJ Jungman, who has been extremely instrumental in developing an operations manual and a process structure. Thanks to Skip Nienhaus, people like Skip and many, many others. We are really set for this year's festival, and we've been hard at work fundraising to be able to sponsor the entire thing. Our biggest partner is the city, providing public safety, public works, streets. We couldn't absolutely positively do it without the city. Unlike many other cities who put on a city festival, or perceived as it's a city festival, city-run festival, the Burnsville Festival and Fire Muster is a 501c3 operation that is 100% volunteer and sponsor-driven. And we of course, like beer sales. That's a big part of our funding. So we appreciate all the partnerships and all the companies who have come out to help us put it on. And we are going to have, I just mentioned to BJ who asked, we will have fireworks Friday and Saturday. We have 50% of the Friday night fireworks supported, and I fully expect to find the other 50% in the next few weeks or so. So very excited. We have many, many new things coming. So the city, they'll see a lot of ads pushing the message, and very excited and looking forward to it. But for now, we're focused on the International Festival this Saturday and enjoying all of the great music and food.
Thank you for the segue.
You're welcome.
And it is, the International Festival is on Saturday the 15th, and we go from 3 to 9. And there's going to be a lot of activity, and I hope everyone comes and enjoy it. We've been working hard to market it over social media. The other part that I think is of interest to all of us, and Garrett, I don't know if Brady has talked with you about homage, and that we did go around the property and take a look. So because we are doing a facilities improvement, we're not going to have it at the front over here. But we did find 2 other locations on property, and I think Brady was going to have that conversation with you and then to tell us which one is the most appropriate. And I think perhaps you have already had that conversation with our leadership team and to see. So I look forward to Thursday to find out where we're at with all of that. So which site is agreeable to the city on all of that. And we continue to now raise money for the future, for the lighting in November. And then we have our Savage Burnsville meeting coming up Thursday,
A week from Thursday.
a week from Thursday.
Correct.
And it's going to be here, and we're working on an agenda that puts together.
Good time to talk about Dan Patch.
Why?
Your meeting was Savage.
Oh, we'll talk about that we're
just
not, we're opting out of any contributions.
If there's a
to the
fist
survey.
fight with Janet, make sure you take out your cell phone and film it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's that.
Marriage.
And And then today, there was a partnership between MLC and the league on having a webinar on duty disability, and that was really great, so. But one of the things I want to say thank you to the governor. We have some money that was allocated to us through the governor's allocation for Nicollet and 13. But do we know the exact amount? I know that's 96 million is from Savage to Burnsville, 13. So the 96 million, but how much of
goes
that
to Nicollet?
96 million is?
You are correct, Mayor. The Minnesota Department of Transportation did announce today through the governor's office that they'll allocate $380 million across 8 infrastructure projects. My observation is those 8 projects very much are reflected of the priorities that ended up being discussed in the legislature in St. Paul this year. So part of the Corridors of Commerce program, $96 million will go to the Savage Burnsville Highway 13 project, which includes grade separation of Nicollet Avenue over Highway 13. What we know now is that $96 million across the project. I believe the entire project is about $160 million, so there's still a funding gap. We have about $17 million in additional funding that we've already identified and secured. So in addition to the $96 million, certainly puts us at a significant advantage moving forward. So staff will continue to work with our partners, particularly at MnDOT, as well as through LGN, as we continue to lobby for and advocate for the city's best interest. This is a significant and important milestone in this project, and frankly, Mayor, to your earlier comments, we have staff who have put a tremendous amount of time, energy into making this project a reality. It will be a significant infrastructure improvement for our community, and I'm incredibly grateful to the team of folks that we have who are tirelessly working on to the benefit of the safety and just frankly getting around our community in a more effective way. So exciting project, exciting day. BJ, in his role in leading our legislative efforts, has already been in touch with LGN and her team, and we'll continue conversations across the organization as we fill the final funding gap. But this is a significant milestone, and frankly, from my perspective, sooner than I would have imagined that this type of progress would take place. So I'm very grateful for our team and the effort that's gone into being champions for our community.
Yeah, and I'm really grateful to our legislative delegation. I will write to Representative Kayla Berg, who testified with me for this. And really, our delegation has been all in Team Burnsville on all of our issues. So I will write to Representative Kayla Berg, because she's the one who carried the water with me on this one. So
there certainly will be
good.
more developments on this
Yeah.
over the course of the coming weeks. We'll keep the council updated. This will definitely mean that conversations on this project will accelerate. Obviously,
Yeah.
you'll be the first. I'm on the first to hear as we sort out the details and get the project back to you.
Yeah, and I'll also write to Senator Lindsay Port and also Representative Jess Hansen and thank them for all of the work that they've done to help us through all of this. So I will do that.
We're
But,
having
this
similar
is-
conversations on the staff side, Mayor, so we'll
Yeah.
coordinate those.
So that's it. So do you have anything else that you want to report or?
That was the only thing that I had, Mayor, so
Yeah,
we
well,
covered it.
you had a very robust council weekly. How about you, Michelle? You got anything? Anybody else have it? And Chief, please say extend our gratitude to the team with the work that they did in apprehending the Burnsville resident who did such a bad thing.
It's like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah.
It's going to be on Friday night murder mystery.
Netflix.
Yeah, it's just, so please thank them. I mean, it was their diligence and doggedness that got this, or this guy would have gone scot-free.
Yes.
And it started the investigation with a fraud. And then here it is, they found all of this. Ugh, yeah. And thank you to everybody around the table. Thank you for being present. Thank you for a great team. Great team. Okay. If there's nothing else, we stand adjourned by acclamation. Thank you, everybody.